And I'm just curious, with a show of hands, who's felt their own walls come up before when they've felt hurt in a connection and just don't know what to do and they want to press their partner away? Yeah. And it's a really beautiful share. It's a really beautiful piece because it's something that I believe happens in all humans. And if it's not happening, then maybe it's not being noticed. But it's like something in what Lulu was saying is like, how do we bridge that moment? Like, what is it that we actually physically, like, what can we physically do in those moments where we feel our walls come up and we feel that distance between us and our intimate partner, or the hurt and the fear makes us want to be away from them in case we're going to get more hurt. And there's actually a few things that we can do in that moment. And the very first one is to physically deepen your breath. So it's like in that practice we just did in the meditation, you would literally do that. You breathe right down into the base of your body and soften the front surface of your body. 90+%, can't remember the number, of our nerve endings end on the front surface of our body. And the mirror neurons, they're called, read the other person's body. As conflict or fear starts to come online or our walls come up, the front surface of the body tenses. So the other person immediately feels that fear will ripple through them. It's like, and now the distance, we're both taking steps backwards. So the very first thing that we can literally physically do is to relax the front surface of our body, to soften that, to deepen our breath, and to stay with the feeling that's arising. And the main feeling is going to be discomfort. And the discomfort is going to relate to the emotion that's arising within us, and whatever that means, or the trigger point that comes from in our past or whatever. And none of that matters. But what matters is allow the feeling to be there. The way we feel a feeling is to just allow it to be there. We don't have to do anything. Our nervous systems are designed to process the emotion, but we have to allow it to be there. If we want to fix it, move it, shift it, process it, do something like that, it's not going to work. It's going to do the opposite. So the first thing you want to do is deepen the breath and allow that feeling to be there. Even if it feels like you're going to die, and often it does, it'll feel terrifying to actually have that level of discomfort come up. But to bridge that gap, just that can be enough for that other person to feel your body soften and be like, oh, something's happening, but I'm not sure. But as you soften your body, they won't be afraid. So deepen the breath, relax the body, allow the feeling to be there. And that split second is usually enough just to soften into the moment. And your partner might even become curious and go, I can see something just happen and I don't know what's happening. But that's still way better than them trying to be right and making you wrong. But we can invite people into our experience just by allowing them to see our discomfort, to see our unsureness, to see that we're hurting or that we're freezing in that moment. So deepen the breath, relax the front surface of the body, allow what we're feeling to be there. And just that is something we can do physically when our walls want to come up, when our stuff comes online. That's one way that we can relax into that moment, but change the moment. That deepening the breath, softening the front surface of the body, it's the very first step to inviting ourselves to experience our own discomfort, but to allow our partner to see ours in lots of ways is a gift to them, because we're showing our vulnerability. When we allow our vulnerability to be displayed and to be felt in our own bodies, it invites that other person into our experience, and it brings closeness. When we invite someone in, we invite them towards us. So our own vulnerability and discomfort being allowed to be seen by another is a beautiful act of intimacy.
And what Rod's saying there, oftentimes people wait for the other person to be vulnerable. I'll be vulnerable when he's vulnerable. I'll open when she opens. But in actual fact, the person with the awareness in that moment, it's like having the awareness of just, okay, there's discomfort here, there's tension here. How do I soften, open, and be vulnerable? And that in itself is an act of devotion, to be the one who leads the way with vulnerability in that moment.
Yeah. And just to give a reference point, that's to be the leader in love in that moment, the person with the most awareness. It won't feel like love. It will feel more like you're going to die. It's terrifying. It's kind of like we see people do courageous acts. We might see someone do something amazing and courageous, or stand up and say what needs to be said, what everyone's thinking, but no one has the courage to say. They appear to us to be strong and powerful and amazing and courageous, and that's usually not their experience. Moments of courage usually feel vulnerable, terrifying, like you're going to die. And it's like, oh my God, why me? How come I have to be the one to do this? No one else sees it. Oh my God, and do the thing. They are not experiencing courage in that moment, and you won't feel like the leader of love in that moment. But you are. To be the leader of love feels vulnerable. It feels excruciating. It can hurt, as well as be a gift of love. They're not different.